right, hey again, everyone. Channel Futures Editorial Director Craig Galbraith here with another edition of Channel Futures TV. Excited to talk today to Prakash Arunkundrum, Chief Operating Officer at Logitech. Prakash, how are you?
Great. Nice to meet you, Craig.
Great to see you. So I've got a few questions for you today. Excited to learn a little more about Logitech. The company, of course, has made a big commitment, I know, to sustainability and the environment in recent years. Can you tell us more about Logitech's history with sustainability and some of your achievements in sustainable IT?
Great. Yeah, no, Craig, this is, as CEO of Logitech, I get to see both sides of this, which is to actually make our products, get it to consumers, and making sure our footprint is the least possible while we do that. And so we've been doing, I'll say sustainability has been a key part of Logitech's DNA. We just published our 14th annual report. So we've been at it for a while. And really the key goal for us is to make sure that, we recognize that every time we make something and get it to consumers, that it leaves a footprint. And our goal is to reduce that footprint. And the place from which we've come from is not to be just less bad, but to actually do good. And which is why a few years ago, we committed to being climate positive, which means taking out more carbon than we create. All our products are already scope 1, 2, and 3, which means everything is directly owned and owned outside our scope is actually carbon neutral. So essentially, we've taken every one of the things from sourcing, manufacturing, distribution, as you plugged in and using the gear to see me, the webcams and mice and keyboards, even that power, we've taken care of that. So that's kind of our DNA in sustainability. And if I kind of have to describe very simply what we want to do, it is to actually leave less footprint for our consumers. I mean, that's really where this is coming from. And we set the goal to be climate positive by 2030, already neutralized. But all of this comes from a place of designing our products, designing them to have the least possible material impact, least possible energy impact, and least possible carbon impact. So that's really how we've been thinking about it. I'm super excited. I think we've got a lot of things, and every time you go out and buy a Logitech product, we are aware of the footprint, and our ambition is to be as low footprint as possible.
Excellent. So Prakash, building on that commitment to sustainability that you're talking about, Logitech has launched its Design for Sustainability program, which I understand covers the design process from concept to manufacturing. So could you tell us a little bit about how that program guides your sustainability efforts?
Yeah, Craig, I think, as a company, as a design company, especially, we take great pride in actually making sure our products perform for our consumers. If you were to install any of our products at your home or in a meeting room or when you're on the go, we want it to perform. But at the same time, we want to actually make sure that it is the least possible footprint at the same level of performance. So our goal was really to reduce our carbon footprint through, as you called it, design for sustainability efforts. And what that means is looking at what we are doing from a sourcing perspective, what materials we actually put together, what's in the manufacturing process, what is in the shipping process as it gets to you, what is the amount of power it draws from the grid, as you're plugged in, and then all the way to end of life. So really comprehending this whole life cycle carbon, as we call it, and making sure every generation of product we make is less carbon footprint than the previous one that we made. And just as an example, we took on this effort to put in place what we are calling next life plastics. So as you know, plastics is a big thing. And we put this program in place about 5 years ago to really go to work and take waste out of landfill and give it second life. And over 67% of our mice and keyboard lineup, and actually more than 50% of Logitech's products, use some element of recycled plastics in them. So if you went out and bought one, it's the same performance, but it's using recycled plastics. And that's really the goal of what we're trying to do from a design for sustainability perspective, and really closing that loop, so to speak, and actually taking some product from a sourcing standpoint, manufacturing standpoint, but also getting it to you with the same level of performance. Another great example is packaging, which everyone understands packaging. And if most often I get asked the question, how do you make sure it performs the same way from a packaging perspective? And how do you make sure you have less footprint? Well, in the case of packaging, which everyone gets, it's about making it smaller so it doesn't ship a lot of air, making it weigh less and use less plastics and less, more paper and forest certified paper. So many of our products actually use forest certified paper in our packaging, and ultimately use sort of colorless, less dye, water-based dye type of things. And that's another example of how we bring design for sustainability to life. And when you think about sustainable IT, and if you are one of the IT folks looking at the products and looking at what should I do, you should ask the question, is it using recycled materials? Is it giving second life chance? Is it having the lowest energy consumption possible, given the set of criteria you have? And, that's really what, we've been focused on.
Yeah, it was great advice. So, Prakash, your CEO recently challenged your competitors to step it up, if you will, when it comes to sustainability. How can Logitech's channel partners help build awareness around sustainability and drive that value with your customer base?
That's a great question, Craig. And all of us can do a lot more. Each of us have a huge amount of influence in our lives, in the decisions you make with your wallet, with how you influence policy at your company, at the state level, at where you are. We had this program, which you might have heard of. It's called Uncommon Transparency, or simply Carbon Clarity. And the goal of this is to actually carbon label all our products with the amount of carbon footprint. So think of it, and we think of it, carbon is the new calorie. What that means is, if you are going out and about and you're actually, let's just say, my favorite fast food is a bag of chips. And you went and you wanted to get a bag of chips and you looked at the back, it's going to say 200 calories, at least mine does. You kind of get immediately what that means. We wanted to do the same thing to carbon. And so we declared in 2020 to carbon label all our products by 2025. Nearly half our volume is already carbon labeled. And what that means is if you take one of our mice, for example, it's about 8 kgs of CO2, which is roughly a gallon of gas if you're driving around somewhere in the US. And, that gives you awareness. So if you're a channel partner and you're listening to this, ask the question, what is your product set that your channel partners, your suppliers are bringing to you? Are they designed for sustainability? Do they understand the carbon impact? And does that help your customers so that when they go install gear in a conference room or at your desk, in a remote desk like the one that I'm calling in from today, are those products made with design for sustainability top of mind? Do you understand sort of the carbon footprint that goes behind it? And that's really what we've challenged our competitors to do. We've actually also pledged to open source a lot of this information. And if someone wants to talk to Logitech, we're more than happy to share the details behind how we compute various things in the electronics of our parts, the plastics, the packaging, the transportation, all of the above to others, so that we can kind of make sure that everyone's aware of the carbon consumption.
Prakash, thank you for joining me on Channel Futures TV today. It's been great to learn about Logitech's sustainability efforts. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you for having us.